Welcome everyone. My name is Mario for Cause Spirit and welcome to the channel. So, was gonna film outside, but it's raining on and off, so I figured I'd film over here today. So, just want to give you an update on what's going on with my car, and again, the purpose of why I'm talking about that. So, the original purpose was to show you guys how I deal with fear, like as it's happening, right? So it's one thing to talk about it, from 5 years ago, but when you're dealing with it, it's a good thing to talk about it. That way, it might help someone to deal with their issues as well, right? So just do a recap. About 3 or 4 weeks ago, if you guys watched my videos from back then, you would have saw that I was coming home. I was on the highway from a birthday function, and my engine light started to flash. So I was like, well, I'm on the side of the highway, so I pulled over. I'm like, okay, so what do I do? Like, I don't have CAA. I'm like, well, so what do I do? So I shut off the car. I looked around, I opened up the hood. I didn't see any smoke or anything, so I started back up. It started up. I'm like, okay, well, I'm not gonna sit here on the side of the road, so I'm gonna try to make it home. I was about 20 minutes away from my home, so I'm gonna try and make it home. I'll just put my hazards on and drive slowly and see if I can make it home. So basically I did it, and I made it home. So then, and when I saw that engine light flash, the first thing that went into my mind was I need a new car. Okay. So, out of anything that could have came into my head, that's the first thing that came into my head, right? So, there's something to be said there. So anyway, so I brought the car home. That was on a Saturday. Sunday, the garages weren't open, so I had to wait till Monday to call up my mechanic. So, I wasn't going anywhere on Sunday, so that was fine. I didn't need my car for that. But then I could feel, and I was aware of all the fear creeping in, right? You have to buy a new car. It's going to cost this. It's going to cost that, right? I was actually even feel sick at some points, right? So, if this would have been the old days, I would have went with that. But because I'm aware now, I don't. So, I allowed the energy to flow. I kept focusing on what I was doing, on my video editing, on my my workouts, my diet, and everything. I didn't allow that to disturb my life. I didn't allow the sickness to take over me. I was aware of it, but I just allowed it to flow, right? So from there, so then Monday I contacted my mechanic, and it's a pretty good place where I go because they give you a loaner car, so it's not like there was any disruption. Really, I got the car towed in. They gave me a loaner car. I was able to do all the things I needed to do. A few days later, they called me back. Like they thought that their mechanic that dealt with that kind of stuff wasn't there, but he was. So like the day after, they called me back. They're like, oh, they go, you need your spark plugs changed and your coils, right? It's gonna be like under $1,000. I'm like, all right. I'm like, well, that's pretty cool, right? Because the first thing that popped in my head was that I needed a new car. Then I had all this fear going on, right? So if I would have fed the fear, I would have disrupted my whole life for like 3 or 4 days. For what? For changing my spark plugs in my coils. Okay, sure, it was a little bit expensive, but not as expensive as buying a new car. So I was like, okay, cool, right? So anyway, so from there, I also was hearing a rattling underneath my car even before that, and I was gonna wait till like November when I got my snow tires put on to live up here in Canada. So I was gonna tell them about that then. When and again, that was in my mind too. I was like, well, that was the problem. That's what caused it. You should have dealt with that before. All these kinds of thoughts, all these kinds of fears were creeping in, right? So anyways, I went to pick up my car. I was driving it to go somewhere, and I could still hear that noise. Because I thought maybe I was like, you know what, maybe that caused it. I don't know, whatever. Maybe when they fix it, they'll fix that problem, right? But the noise was still there. So I contacted them. No, so then I was driving it to work for 3 days or 4 days, right? On my fourth day, actually, I'd already called them to take care of it, because I was thinking, you know what? If it wasn't for the what happened to the spark plugs, I wouldn't have said anything. But because of that, I'm like, you know what? Just be safe than sorry. Let me contact them again and see if I can book up an appointment for them to look at that rattling. So we made an appointment, and then but before that appointment happened, like that appointment was on a Thursday. I was working Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. That was my shift. So on the Wednesday, I heard a vibration in my car. So I thought that was the exhaust that went, right? And I thought it had something to do with that rattling as well. And then even before, I looked under my car and I could see like only half a pipe of my exhaust, right? In between my muffler and my catalytic and the middle pipe, which I think is a silencer. So I thought that the top had fallen down, or had rusted out, and there was no more top left, so it was making that noise. So anyways, I bring it in, they checked it, they called me back, they're like, oh, it's the catalytic converter that we put in January or February, whatever it was, right? It was a faulty catalytic converter, so it's not going to cost you anything, we're just going to replace it. So again, through all this, there was a lot of fear going on, right? A lot of things happening, a lot of thoughts that were inappropriate inside my head. I didn't feed it, but I was aware of it, and for what? It didn't cost me a penny, okay? So if I would have fed that fear, again, I would have ruined my days, I would have ruined my workouts, my diets, I would have added stress to my body, to my beingness, I would have made myself susceptible to sicknesses, to anything negative, right? So after all that, for what, right? It didn't cost me a penny. So I go pick up my car, and I still hear that vibration. Okay, so I'm like, well, what the heck, right? So I end up going to Walmart. I go, well, once I get to Walmart, I'm just gonna get out and look and see if they fix it. So I asked the woman on the phone, the receptionist, I go, you asked them to check that pipe, this and that. And she said, yeah, they did, and it was fine, right? So I checked, and again, I can see the top half missing. I'm like, I don't get it. I'm like, they said they checked it, whatever, right? So I'm like, you know what? I brought it back. I was on my way home, anyways. I brought it back. I'm like, listen, is there a way you guys could put it up? And I told them that I was hearing that vibration. I go, is there any way you could put it up so I could actually go with the mechanic and see what's going on, just so we could get things straight to what's going on, right? And she goes, well, we can't do it right now, but if you come back around 3 o'clock, we'll or quarter after 3, and we'll do it, right? So again, I was hearing all these thoughts, right? And I had thoughts that it seemed so real that top pipe was missing, and that was the issue. That if it was me back in my 30s or my 20s, I would have got all crazy, and I would have lost it, and probably would have made would have made some enemies or people not happy with me, right? But I didn't do that. I said, you know what? I just want to see. I just want to be there. I want them to explain to me what's going on, because there's still a vibration. So obviously there's an issue. Went back, so she asked the one mechanic to bring it up. So they brought it up. So he brought me underneath. He goes, that pipe is just the way Nissan makes it. It's flat or the top part's flat, so they can fit it into that area. So nothing's missing, just the way it's designed. I'm like, oh, okay. I go, well, I didn't know that. I just thought that top part was missing. So again, right? I didn't lose my mind, even though the thoughts were so real, that I was so right, that it was so much that pipe, right? And it felt real, but I didn't buy into it. I was aware of it. I didn't lose my mind. Everything worked out fine. No one got upset. It was explained. I understood, and everything's fine, right? So now I go, well, but I still hear the vibration. I go, does the mechanic have a chance to go for a drive with me, so we can hear what's going on? And she asked him. She goes, yeah, no problem. So the minute we got on the road, he heard it. He goes, yeah. He goes, it's most likely your wheel bearing in the back. I'm like, okay. So which is nothing abnormal. Wheel bearings do go on cars. I mean, on my Camry, I had a few of them go, so it's nothing abnormal. It's the second one on this car. It's got over 200,000 kilometers, so it's perfectly normal. Okay, so we booked again for like it was like on a Thursday that happened, and we booked for the next Thursday of the following week, and and I was working for 4 days, right? So I was thinking to myself, well, that's fine. I'm just not gonna drive it for Friday and Saturday, just in case, I mean, just to save the bearing. It's an hour there and back each day, so that's 4 hours of driving on that bearing because it's 4 days. I'm looking at it, should be fine. It should not be a problem, right? But then all the thoughts came in again, right? Oh, what if it seizes? And memories of someone else at work when his bearing went, and we had to pull over the highway. We had to throw ice or snow, I don't know, stuff like that to cool it down, right? All these thoughts are keep creeping in, right? Do I feed it? Absolutely not. I'm aware of it, but I don't feed it, okay? So then Friday, my mother calls me, and she goes, then my aunt jumps on the phone. She goes, yeah, I'm down. She lives in New Brunswick. She came to visit her mom, my grandmother. She goes, you want to come tomorrow and see me? I'm like, which is where she is, at my mom's place. It's like an hour away, and it's on a highway. So you're driving like over 100 kilometers an hour. For the Americans, you guys are in miles, but here in Canada, we're in kilometers. So you're driving over 100 kilometers an hour to get there, so it's pretty fast. And if around here, just to get to work, you're driving between 60 and 80, so it's not that bad, right? It's not as hard on the bearing. So I'm like, well, I go, I'd like to, but there's something wrong with my bearing. I got an appointment. Actually, I go, well, how long are you here for? And she goes, well, I'm leaving Thursday, and I'm working Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and then it's getting fixed on Thursday, so there's no way I can see her. I go, well, I'd love to, but I gotta work. I got my bearing. I have a problem with the bearing on my car. I got an appointment for next Thursday, and I really don't want to be going down a high-speed highway and taking a chance something happen on the side of the highway, right, or on the highway. So she understood. We just had a conversation for a while, see how things are going, this and that, and that was fine. So, I hang up the phone, then all the thoughts come in again. Oh, you should have went and saw her. Bad feelings, all kinds of stuff were happening, right? Just let it go. Let it flow, right? Unless you know something for sure, just allow it to have movement. So anyways, so that was a big drama there. Sorry. So then I went to work for 4 days. So every day was like the end of the world. It's gonna seize up. It's gonna seize up, right? So anyways, I made it through the 4 days safely. Made it to 4 days safely. Thursday I brought it in, and the thing about where I go here, it's not like bringing your car to Toyota or Nissan and all that, where everything is more regimental. They're a little more relaxed, so they give you loaner cars, which is nice, right? So, like at first it took me a while to get used to that, but I'm getting you used to it now. So I'm just like, well, whatever. As long as I have a loaner car, I'm good. So sometimes they get to it that day, sometimes they don't, right? And that's what happened that day too. They called me back around 4 o'clock. They go, yeah, you need a rear wheel bearing, but we won't be able to get it done till tomorrow. It's gonna be $658, whatever, right? I'm like, yeah, okay, no problem, right? But through the whole day, more drama, because I'm not in control, so there's all this fear of not being in control, right? So anyways, the next day, I went for my workouts, came back, there was a message on the answer machine, cars were ready to go, picked up my car, drove it to Walmart, did what things I need to do there, came back home. So the last I know, today is Saturday, that was yesterday, Friday, yep. So I brought it, seemed fine, right? I mean, tomorrow there could be an explosion, I don't know, right? But up to now, the car seems fine. So basically, after all this, one thing was I should have I should have maintained my car better with the spark plugs and coils, because I looked it up, and with Nissan you need to do it between every 70 and 100,000 kilometers. So it was about 100,000. I bought it at 120,000 kilometers, and then they told me that they had done that. So it was 220 when it happened. So in my opinion, I was over. But I didn't know I had to keep an eye on that, because with my Camry, I would bring it to Toyota, and they had all the stuff they needed to do for Camry. So they would just say, okay, you need this. I'd say, okay, right? But with this mechanic here, they're not specific to one brand, so they don't have that kind of program. They have like a maintenance program, but not specific to your car. So so to me, I was not aware of that. So now I'm going to make a point that every time I bring it into service, right? Like in November, I always get them to do an overall check. I'm going to look on the internet and see what the Nissan Altima of that year needs, and then I'll just get them to do that, right? So it's not like anything broke. It's just that I didn't know, and it was just a normal maintenance service thing to do. Because I told my neighbor about it, he goes, oh, so they did a tune-up. So all this fear for my car needed a tune-up, right? So that's that. The rattling didn't cost me a penny. It was done early in the year, and it was a faulty catalytic converter, so they replaced it for free. And the wheel bearing, well, that's what happens to cars. Wheel bearings go, and you have to replace them. So just part of living. So at the end of the day, what did we learn of all this? What's the point of all this? Do not feed the darkness. Okay, focus on the facts you know, not the facts you think you know. If things pop in your head, be very, very, very discerning on these thoughts. Be very conscious of what you're feeding. Okay, never feed the darkness. Only feed the light, and get educated. Be educated. Understand what you're dealing with, and it's gonna make life a lot easier, and you won't have to deal with so much drama. By the way, it doesn't happen overnight. I've been an awakened being for over 20 years now, and it's always a work. You're always a work in progress. You're always moving forward, learning more issues that you have that you need to let go, and letting them go, and getting to the next level, and dealing with that, then getting to the next level. So it's a whole process of releasing the darkness in order to ascend, which is what is happening right now to all of existence. Okay, is that all of existence is ascending to a higher level of consciousness. So in order to do that, the darkness, especially over here, right, in this realm, over here on this planet, we need to release our darkness, okay, release our negative memories, which we've had since we were first created, because we've been to this planet quite a few times through reincarnation. We've carried a lot of darkness. Now we need to let them go in order to ascend to a higher level of consciousness. Okay? So at the end of the day, don't feed the darkness. Be educated. Release the darkness to God. Release it to the light. And it will help with your ascension process. Well, you have to do it to ascend. You will not ascend if you hold on to darkness. You need to let it go in order to ascend. So either you do it in a gentle fashion, the way I did it, okay? Could have been a lot better, sure, but it was it was a lot better than what it could have been if I wouldn't have dealt with it the way I dealt with it. It went pretty awesome, and I evolved. I went to the next level, and now it'll be what's coming next for me to deal with that and go to the next level. So, anyways, remember, release the darkness, feed the light, be educated, and it will help with your ascension instead of being all like kicking and screaming, which everyone's ascending. Either you do it kicking and screaming or with grace and ease, you're gonna ascend. So, in my opinion, do it with grace and ease, and it'll be a lot more fun. Anyways, we'll leave it there, and we'll talk to you soon. Goodbye.